Good evening, Assalamu alaikum, and welcome to Sports Extra. I'm your host, Ahmad Nawaz. It's a sad day, not just for cricket in Pakistan, but for cricket all around the world. Absolutely disastrous news that has come in tonight, made headlines. Our top story tonight is that New Zealand has abandoned the tour to Pakistan. They have left. The first ODI was about to be held today at the Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium. Toss was due by 2:30 p.m., but the team did not arrive in the stadium. And after speculation, it was once again told that, first of all, the news came in that the ODI has been delayed. Then the news came in that it's been suspended. Then the news came in that New Zealand, citing security concerns, so-called security concerns, of course, have decided not to take part in the tour, and they're heading back home, and necessary arrangements have been made. I've got a line of things that I want to discuss tonight. I'll be really, I think, open about this, that this is really, really sad to see that at a time when cricket should be promoted, at a time when the world needs so much more going through the COVID-19 pandemic, things like these are happening. Pakistan's security agencies, our law enforcement agencies, our intelligence agencies are one of the best in the world. They deserve credit for the sacrifices that Pakistan has made, for the sacrifices in both men and material in the war against terrorism. I think Pakistan is one of the safest countries in the world right now. And we don't say that because we're living in Pakistan. We say this because we truly mean it. We'll discuss this further. We've been joined on Sports Sector tonight by cricket commentator, cricket expert, and somebody who's a senior analyst and can analyze this situation a lot better than most of us, Leena Aziz. Leena, assalamu alaikum. Welcome to Sports Extra.
Wa alaikum salam, Ahmad, and how are you?
Very good, a bit sad, disappointed, Leena, but first of all, we've been very sane about this, as we discussed at 4 p.m. as well on PTV World. But let's just analyze the situation so far, because now we've got a better understanding of the situation. There are certain things that have been prevailing. What do you make of the situation yourself as a cricket expert?
You know, first of all, like you're saying, it's extremely sad. But then we've got to be rational about this. The New Zealand team has been here for 5 days. It's not that they didn't come or they didn't, they didn't honor their promise of coming and playing in Pakistan. They have been here. They've been practicing. And I feel suddenly something must have happened. They must have received some threat, some, imminent threat or some so-called threat or some kind of threat. In the wake of which they've decided to cancel the tour altogether and decided to leave suddenly. And the times we're living in, Ahmad, it's been a dangerous time throughout the world. COVID-19, it's put a lot of pressure on everyone. People are suffering mentally, going through breakdowns and all. And then last year we saw that something like this happened in Bangladesh, in New Zealand also, when the Bangladesh team was touring there. So, things like that have happened. The last time, 18 years ago, the New Zealand team was here. They were in the middle of something like that, which is very, very sad even then. And they had to abandon the tour suddenly and go back home. So one cannot say that nothing happened. Something must have happened. We don't know the whole story right now. And had it happened a few days ago, let me tell you, Ahmad, had it happened like maybe 2-3 days ago, the situation could have been handled. Government officials could have talked to each other. Imran Khan, talked to Jacinda Ardern. Maybe he could have pressed the issue with her. Different officials, cricket boards could have talked to each other, and it could have been retrieved the situation, and the tour would have gone on. But since it only happened, either it happened last night or this morning, there was no time for anyone to sort of retrieve the situation or, make the New Zealanders stay here in Pakistan and play cricket. So the timing was also very sudden, and there was no time to make things right. So a lot of things have conspired in the way that they shouldn't have. And it's just sad for cricket fans. It's sad for all of us. It's sad for Ramiz Raja, who just took over. And, as soon as he took over, rather than getting in any breathing time, relaxing time, this has now landed on his head. And I for one, feel that, whatever was happening in the last 2, 3, 4 years, the international cricket was coming back. With this tour, once a Gora team goes away like this, it can be now sort of, it can be the whole situation can be taken back many, many years. And it'll be a big challenge for Ramiz Raja, but I'm quite certain if anyone can do it, he can do it. But this time, he'll need a lot of help from the government, because this is a big incident, team leaving on the eve of a match, of the morning of the match. It is an international incident, and it will not encourage other bigger teams. Okay, Zimbabwe and all these teams and some Sri Lanka and Bangladesh might come, but we want bigger teams to come. But because, as you said in your intro, that Pakistan is now a safer country to live, and I feel in the last 5, 7, 8 years, every country, whether it's France or England or New Zealand themselves or Australia, India, every country has been, they have been terrorized, or they have been the victims of terror. So every country in the world is now equal. But this incident does sadly take Pakistan far back, and all the good work that was done in the last 5, 6 years will have to be redone. But I'm quite hopeful it can be done, and I'm quite hopeful that the Ramiz Raja leadership can do it, but he'll need a lot of external help, a lot of help from the government, much higher government officials.
Kashif Majid. Kashif, Assalamu alaikum, how are you?
Alhamdulillah. Thank you.
What are your thoughts on the situation, as I've had a detailed discussion with Leena as well? Our first thought has to be that we're seeing now incidents of aggression and violence all around the world. We cannot shy away from the Christchurch mosque attack that took place. Pakistan was one of the first countries to continue their tour there, and Pakistan stood by Cricket New Zealand and its people, also condoled with the families there. We understand this was a threat that they received, but they did not share any intel with our authorities. As a Pakistani cricket fan, as a person belonging to a nation that has sacrificed more on the war of terror than any other country, what are your thoughts right now?
I think very unfortunate for Pakistan in general and cricket in particular, because at the 11th hour you cannot decide about taking your team back. And as you clearly mentioned, that if there was a threat, they should have mentioned it, they should have shared it with our armed forces, with our policy makers, so that they could have taken proper action against this thing. Now look at the position of Pakistan. Pakistan, after 10, 12 years, came back to the cricket fraternity. Pakistani grounds, they were full of people who love to see this cricket. And now all of a sudden this thing happened. Now I'll take you back to 3 or 4 years back. We had PSL in Pakistan, we had South Africa, Zimbabwe, West Indies, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, all teams coming back to Pakistan and enjoying the game of cricket, enjoying crowd. Now look at PSL. All these players, they came to Pakistan in PSL. They had a wonderful time. It was their remarks and their impression about Pakistan, that Pakistan is as a safe place, as safe as any other country in the world. And particularly Islamabad. Islamabad is the safest place in Pakistan. Now, considering all these things, I think this is, for me, I'll be very blunt with you. This seems to be a pre-planned game against Pakistan. This has to do nothing with cricket. Because look, a month back, all the people, all the armed forces of America, they were coming to Pakistan, taking refuge, rescue in Pakistan, and then flying from Pakistan to their respective countries. Now, if this country, this city was safe for those people, why wasn't it safe for Pakistan? Secondly, for last 5 days, the same New Zealand team, they were practicing in Rawalpindi Cricket Stadium.
Going to from the venue,
absolutely, and they had all the facility available with them. They were being given the presidential squad as the security guide for them. Now all these security measures were taken by Pakistan. Pakistan had a very good past record. Now still, if this is coming out of blue, I'm sure this has to do with the political affairs of Pakistan. Yes,
regional politics probably.
Regional and world politics in particular, because our Prime Minister clearly said to the Americans that we absolutely not, we are not going to give you any space in Pakistan. We will not be indulging ourselves in the war against terror. Now, if this is our stance, I think it has to be linked with those things. And particularly when you have neighbors like 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 India, you can expect anything coming out of it. Now the problem is, what is going to be the fallback of this problem that has occurred because of New Zealand? We had tours of
England and
lined
Australia,
up.
yeah.
We had World Cup coming up. We had the morale building of Pakistan team. What is going to be the morale of Pakistan team which will be going for the World Cup? Now we have to consider all those things. Now I thought last few hours back when I heard this news, I thought that this is the time when our Prime Minister has to show the leadership. He has to talk to the Prime Minister of New Zealand, and Ramiz Raja on top of it should, utilize his diplomatic
Definitely.
channels.
Kashif bhai, I'll just come back to you in a second. We've just got the statement of the CEO of the New Zealand cricket team, David White. He said, "We had no choice but to call off the tour of Pakistan after being alerted by our security officials." This is what David White had to say. He also said that the safety of the players is the foremost priority. He said that the team will now be returning, and no arrangements that have been made can be shared with the media as of yet, obviously keeping their security in check. If we talk about the head of the players committee as well in New Zealand cricket, also uttered the same words for them as well. So that's what they said. I want to share the tweet of the chairman PCB, Ramiz Raja. If we can just have that on screen by our team, and then we can discuss this further. Chairman PCB Ramiz Raja, in his tweet, also mentioned something very particular. He said it's very disappointing. It's sad. He said it's frustrating. There you go. He said crazy day it has been. Feel so sorry for the fans and players. And he also said that it's frustrating because nothing was shared with our intelligence agencies or security team at the PCB when we asked about this threat. He said New Zealand cricket will now be hearing from us at the ICC. Leena, Aziz, this is truly something that we like to see, not just from the cricket board but from the chairman, that there should be a strict stance now. That does mean that Pakistan is going into the new era of the chairman PCB with a very strict stance right now.
Well, it's very unfortunate for him. I mean, I feel really sad for him. He's a friend. He's someone I feel very strongly towards, very dear to me. I always tell him he's just like a brother. And when I say that to someone, like I say to you also, it means something. For me, it means something. So I feel really sad for him also. I mean, he's got a very, very stiff, very tough challenge in front of him. See, this series was bilateral, and I don't think so the ICC can do much about it. Once, the New Zealand team goes home, no one can actually do anything about it. We can talk to them. We can sort of reschedule the series. We can use the word postponed instead of abandoned or something like that, and reschedule the series. We can sort of find out exactly what happened and how it could be fixed better next time. Because see, end of the day, it is Pakistan's problem, not anyone else's problem. In our country, these people came, they were supposed to play. Our fans bought ticket. Our chairman is sad. We are sad. Not the New Zealanders so much. I mean, fine, they'll be sad for a few days, but they're going to their country. So we will have to sort out this problem somehow. It is not anyone's problem, let me tell you. Kashif just used the word blunt. So let me be blunt and straightforward. And I'm sure you expect nothing short of that from me. So it is our problem, not the world's problem. But I also agree with Kashif when he says it's more politically motivated, whether it's coming from our neighbors, whether this threat was created by our neighbors to shatter cricket in Pakistan, or in their eyes, maybe once and for all, damage cricket in Pakistan. So no big team is going to come in the next few years. I agree with him. But in the end, it's our loss. And we will have to fix it somehow. And it's not going to be easy. Trust me, Ahmad, and you know that it's not going to be easy. The last regime, the PCB regime, and the one before that, it took both those regimes to slowly work towards a big team coming to Pakistan, like New Zealand started from Zimbabwe,
Definitely.
then the World 11, West Indies, South Africa, and now New Zealand. The big fish were coming here. And had this gone smoothly, the tour, imagine who would have not liked it. Just imagine, and who could be responsible in doing this. One of our neighbors, I feel. But end of the day, I would say it is our responsibility for not let this happen. We shouldn't let this happen.
Definitely, definitely. Leena, Aziz, we understand that you've got a busy schedule. We'd like to thank you for joining us on Sports Extra tonight.
Anytime.
That was Leena Aziz, cricket expert and commentator, talking to us. We'll just go towards a short break, but stay tuned because we'll be right back. Welcome back to Sports Extra with me, Ahmad Nawaz. We're discussing New Zealand abandoning us at a very critical stage of Pakistan cricket. We've also been joined now on Sports Extra by senior cricket commentator, expert, a historian, of course, the very honourable Mr. Raja Asad. Assalamu alaikum, sir. Welcome to Sports Extra.
Wa alaikum assalam, Nawaz. Thank you.
Sir, in your career that you have seen throughout your time, not just in Pakistan but world cricket all over, we understand that New Zealand had their own concerns, but not sharing them with the Pakistan Cricket Board, our intelligence agencies. What does this prove, sir, to the entire world?
Well, you see, it's not purely a cricketing matter, of course, but I have been being a very humble student of the politics and to an extent the geographical development in Southeast Asia. You see what is happening in Afghanistan. Who are the two other people, two other countries, who were the losers, who took the back foot? The two forces. One of them is a superpower, and the other one is neighboring India. So who are the beneficiaries? Besides this, you see, I'm surprised to read the statement by the New Zealand Cricket Board. It should have been very diplomatical, you know. They should have apologized. But it was straightaway, it was blunt and crude, I would say, to an extent. It was a total loss as far as government of Pakistan is concerned, the Pakistan Cricket Board, and the public at large. You see, talking about the intelligence agency's role in international politics, you see what happened in Iraq. There was a claim that there are mass destruction equipment and ammunitions are there. What found there? What happened to 9/11? Where were the agency's reports? New Zealand is claiming that they have a certain information and security alerts or security threats. All right? If they have such, today our Interior Minister had a press conference and he talked in length about the discussion between the New Zealand security officials and Ministry of Information, Ministry of Interior, and Ministry of Defense official about this postponement. They have the counterpart, the New Zealanders, they have no solid evidence. I can understand the New Zealand government and the board would never disclose about their information source and about the details to Pakistan government or the Pakistan Cricket Board. They will never. But I think, keeping in view the prevailing law and order situation all over, it was a bad taste, and I think this is a time that Pakistan Foreign Office, the Interior Ministry, they should take some action diplomatically. They should try to solve the situation, and there should not be any boycott of a thing as far as New Zealanders are concerned. I can understand their Prime Minister is a very humble lady, but how they manage this situation, they know Pakistan is a country of over 22 crore people, and 75% of them, they are the hardliner as far as cricket is concerned, their passion. I know they bought tickets, everybody was going to TV, and now the toss is being happened, but nothing happened. Instead of that, there was a report that they are going back. So there's certain emotional and political element and forces behind this postponement. Pakistan Cricket Board should carefully assess the situation before going to ICC. ICC has a role to play, I tell you, between this postponement. They can, on a face value of it, you can say that ICC has nothing to do with the bilateral series. Not at all. The prime responsibility, the ICC is a statutory body. They should look into the matter and said it's a clear-cut case of unpopularity of the game, discouragement of the talent, and of course the disappointment to the public at large who are watching cricket either
Right.
coming to stadium or facing or viewing TV or on the channels. So I believe.
Def-
The secondly,
Definitely.
for the time being, we accept their apology and their excuse that there was a common interest between Pakistan and New Zealand about postponement of this series. Perhaps element of unexpected if you believe there was some attack on New Zealanders, then they should have disclosed the details with the condition of secrecy, that there should be a closely guarded discussion between Pakistan security agencies, the secret agencies, the intelligence agencies, and their counterpart. Nothing has so far happened. Nothing
Right,
has
sir.
so far.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Mr. Raja Asad, senior cricket commentator and expert, talking to us regarding this scenario. I think he's right that there should have been some sharing when we talk about this. Kashif bhai, coming to you very quickly once again. What does this do to the future scenario? We've got to really think about that, because I think we need to be honest. We can't shy away from this right now.
I mean, if Pakistan want to secure the future, I think we'll have to tackle this situation very carefully and very intelligently. Number one, if I was in the position, I would say that I would not accept this excuse of they had this information but they cannot share it. We have to push them. We have to really prolong the situation so that they can share the information. If they don't want to share the source, no problem. But they have to share the information, that what was the information, because our future now is dependent on this situation. We know that English team was about to come to Pakistan. Then we had a series of tours coming
Yes,
to Pakistan. So we cannot afford our cricketing structure. Now talking about the cricket board, I think ICC has nothing to do with this. We have to deal it bilaterally with the New Zealand team, and then ICC can jump in, giving the final decision. Before the final decision, I think it is all about Pakistan and New Zealand. We can deploy our diplomatic sources to resolve the situation. We can talk to the foreign ministry. They can talk about it. We need to have the proper consultants who can come and rescue Pakistan from this situation, because we cannot give a very bad name to Pakistan and to our cricket fields, because we have to bring the cricket field back to life, and it was coming to life. And remember, PSL is also coming up. We have a very important brand of PSL. We cannot afford to lose our brand, because all these cricketing nations, all these players, they are going to follow path. If they say that, okay, if the New Zealand cricket team is not safe, how can we come to Pakistan? So we have to rescue ourselves. Now I think Prime Minister Pakistan is very fortunate, because we have a Prime Minister who is an ex-cricketer. Ramiz Raja has a very diplomatic connections throughout the world, so we can utilize these two connections. And I think the impetus that is required to Pakistan, that can easily be given by these two personalities. They should come forward, they should take the lead, and I think they should not give up on this situation. And English cricket should also be consulted in this situation, because the next tour was of England. We have to make sure that the English team should come to Pakistan in full strength, so that the cricket should resume in Pakistan.
Definitely. I think Kashif bhai has hit the nail right on the head, that there now needs to be diplomatic efforts, and all stakeholders need to be involved. Now, we've been joined on Sports Extra by senior sports journalist and anchor Abdul Ghaffar. Ghaffar, Assalamu alaikum, welcome to Sports Extra.
Walaikum salam, thank you.
Right, Ghaffar, we know that New Zealand cricket had sent a security delegation before the team arrived, who assessed the situation, all the security arrangements, the plans, and then New Zealand were given the green signal of coming to Pakistan, which they did. Considering the situation now, in about 3 to 4 days, the situation has changed, what they're saying. They were practicing last couple of days, and also an inter-squad match there as well. Now not coming to the one day, that further, do you think that proves that maybe that security delegation of New Zealand probably was not good enough for them? Or is it just because that they feel that they just didn't want to have the series in the first place?
A very, very tough situation for Pakistan, and obviously, as we are mentioning, that this is the chain we are actually made with a lot of hard work and obviously dedication from PSL to New Zealand, for Zimbabwe, then obviously West Indies tour to Pakistan. If that chain broken now, and New Zealand obviously not coming, not playing Pakistan, they are about to leave Pakistan maybe today or maybe tomorrow. I think the only lifeline we have right now is to invite and convince England to come Pakistan, because it's a very short tour for the 2 3 days for the two matches. Wasim Khan and Pakistan Cricket Board gave a very huge favor to England team last year when England were facing 380 million pound loss if Pakistan West Indies was supposed to pull out from that series due to COVID-19. Pakistan was the first team who actually commit to the international tour. Your question related to New Zealand, I think this is beyond me. Their own security consultant opted to stay in Pakistan. At the first chance, I was told by very credible information that he was about to leave on 27th August after the consultation and the green signal to the New Zealand board. But then he opted to stay in Pakistan. So Greg Dixon and obviously the security team, they are in Pakistan for the last maybe I think 20 25 days maybe, or maybe even further. So what they were doing in Pakistan, and what sort of information New Zealand government been received from the unknown sources, and then obviously I'm very surprised that Prime Minister Imran Khan, we already gave them the state guest honor, or obviously then Prime Minister talked to their Prime Minister. I don't think so. That is not enough to guarantee them the security. Then what else? So this is my question to New Zealand. Had they were in India, maybe in Australia, or in maybe England, whether they decide the same thing, I think this is hypocrisy of highest state. And even Pakistan visited New Zealand, Ahmad, when the Christchurch incident happened, very unfortunate incident. We all condemn this, but we support New Zealand cricket. This is something New Zealand I wasn't expecting, but I think Pakistan should review their relationship with the New Zealand cricket now.
Ghaffar, do you also believe that the Pakistan Cricket Board's statement that came out, including that of the chairman PCB Ramiz Raja, is right now the way forward, that Pakistan now needs to have a very strict stance towards teams who refuse to visit Pakistan?
This is the SOS situation, Ahmed, because we have to act very promptly now. Because just now, never situation. Because after New Zealand, if England can announce, I talked to their media manager a few hours ago, and he said in 24 to 48 hours, we will take a final call on Pakistan tour. I was in my live show, Najam Sethi, ex-PCB chairman, was with me, and totally agree with him. These are the very critical 48 hours for Pakistan cricket future. I think Ramiz Raja or maybe Wasim Khan should travel immediately to England, or maybe ask them to just hold on before making the final decision, and push them to please listen to us. And obviously, we have a history with them. We give them a huge favor. I'm not saying that they have to compromise on security for that favor, because actually we are on a very safe situation. We are hosting international cricket. We are hosting PSL for the last 3 4 years. Everything was on order. We impressed cricketing world by our very good security, and obviously the PCB management also should be praised there. So I think this is the very important call. I think Pakistan have to take this opportunity of these 48 hours. We somehow managed to. We have to do something. Maybe government involvement. Maybe Prime Minister can call their Prime Minister. I think we have to convince England to come there. I'm telling you, if after New Zealand, if England take a call and not doing Pakistan, I'm telling you, this is going to be a terrible for Pakistan cricket, and maybe we may not see even PSL happening in Pakistan. So this is the time to react, and react very sharply.
Very toughly indeed. Ghaffar, thank you so much for joining us on Sports Extra. Kashif bhai, we're out of time. Thank you so much to you as well.
Thank you.
Definitely, however the situation unfolds, one thing is for clear, that it's a sad day for cricket. Like I said, not just in Pakistan, but all around the world. So much talk about sportsman spirit would be there, but the situation must be further analysed, and things need to be sorted out, not just by the Pakistan Cricket Board, by the government of Pakistan as well, because once again we do highlight this not just from the platform of Sports Extra and PTV World, but generally that Pakistan is now one of the safest countries when it comes to not just sporting activities, but for all kinds of things. The way Pakistan has even tackled COVID-19 is an example for the entire world, and the war on terror, our sacrifices. I think a salute goes out to our security forces, law enforcement agencies, and our intelligence agencies. That's all we have time for from Sports Extra. From me and the entire team, it's goodbye for now, but we'll sign off with our segment, that is the news in brief.
Yorkers. He had the shoe that he kept in front of the stumps and he used to keep bowling at the shoe. That's something that I see a lot of the young boys do. So when you leave the game, this is something that you want to help youngsters achieve, something special, and that is what he's given the cricketing world. That's something most of the young boys these days do, practice bowling a Yorker. And how do they do it? The Malinga way.
You think Lasith, you think Yorkers, you think slower balls, you think Sri Lankan legend.
Oh, it's a toe crusher. Fantastic. That is an outstanding Yorker.
That combination of Yorkers and those dipping slower balls that have made him so difficult for the modern batsman. And you combine that with his action, which is unusual and unorthodox, and has made him one of the best white ball limited overs bowlers we've ever seen.
Another slower ball. This has been the most magnificent display of fast, hostile bowling.
I think if Malinga had come up in some different countries, then he would have probably been coached to bowl differently. I think Lasith Malinga was an outstanding bowler and one of the best T20 bowlers.
Has been something that's made the game richer.